All right, folks. It always says I'm live before it actually says I'm live, or before I'm actually live, I should say. Welcome to the bottom line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight is Tribal Forum number 32. Now, when I don't know if the folks that are in so far have noticed, I had to change my thumbnail for tonight's stream because a story that I've been covering kind of came to my, uh, you know, uh, to my knowledge this morning when I woke up. I'm trying to cut some stuff off here so I can catch up with you guys here, and they've got a forced commercial going on. But anyway, it's a story about the Who. All right. And we've been covering that. As a matter of fact, we covered that on a stream, one of my most popular streams, that got well over 4,000 views. And that was because of the firing, or what appeared to be the firing, of Zach Starkey at that time. And we're going to be covering that tonight, as well as rockers who just absolutely refuse to keep their mouth shut at venues that have people who have paid to be there, right? Okay, so that's part of the equation. And I know there are many different views on this, different opinions on this by you folks as well. So I want to be able to keep this entire conversation civil, and you'll better know what I'm talking about when I get to that point. Before I do, as always, I'm going to take care of some real quick channel business here, like I always do, as people are filtering in, and then we can start this whole charade. Okay. So, first of all, I always give shout outs to those who have given me super thanks on the previous live stream. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are definitely keeping this channel alive and well. And we thank each and every one of you who can do that for doing so. I also, every time I say that, will say, I appreciate you, the viewer, even more, so, because without your views, then there'd be nothing for me to talk about, right? There'd be no reason to be up here. And every time you give me a thumbs up, that kicks that algorithm. I'm not kidding. Every time we get 50, it bumps it a bit, right? And the quicker we get those, the better. And sometimes it can even affect the stream while the stream is going, and can increase viewership there. And of course, that means more dialogue. Okay, so the first person that came in with a super thanks was right off the bat. I mean, real quick, within minutes, was Novus Nick with a $2 super thanks. Now, I want to focus on Novus Nick here with this $2 super thanks. If you're one of those people, and you will hear of other folks who give more and feel like, well, I can't give, X amount of bucks. A simple $2 super thanks really adds up quickly. And if I get three super thanks tonight during tonight's stream, I always, will sing for my supper, folks. What I will do will extend this stream into tomorrow night. It's been a while since I've offered this, and stream on Monday night, tomorrow night, live at 5 p.m. And of course, that's Pacific Standard Time here on the West Coast in the United States. So adjust your time zones accordingly. All right, for as little as three $2 super thanks. But we also got Michael Boswell, who gave us a wonderful $5 super thanks, as did the Retro Beat Repository. Thank you, Retro Beat. I appreciate it. David L. came in with a $20 super thanks. Thank you so much, David. And Deuces Wild with a $10 super thanks, and another $10 super thanks by Ben Scheidecker, with Storm Cop coming in at the last minute with his usual John Wayne KO of a $50 super thanks. I want to thank each and every one of you, seriously. We'll talk about some of the difficulties the channels had. And by the way, I'll be doing a roll call on all the newest members we've gotten. And I appreciate you folks who have been buying memberships for people to take advantage of, because that's really taking off. We've got over 40, uh, between 40 and 45 new members because of you guys helping and people just joining up. I'll do a full roll call on that next stream as well, and then we'll take this conversation further. All right, all right. So let's get our sleeves, up and ready to get in there and do some work here by talking about the Who. All right, I just saw that, baby.
Oh, Bill
Let me.
Hawkins, thank you so much.
Bill, thank you so much. Let me check it out here.
Yes.
Always now I'll pause what I'm doing when
That's so
Super Thanks
sweet.
comes in. It's the least I can do. A $20 Super Thanks. Bill, thank you so much. He says, all right,
Aw.
everyone empty your pockets. I recognize a highwayman when I see one. Storm Cop comes in and empties his pockets. Storm Cop comes in immediately after Bill with a $20 super thanks as well. Brother, this money is well spent. Oh, good Lord. Thank you so much. Ben Scheidecker with $5. Absolutely amazing. Let's get some Monday night prime time. Michael Nolan. Well, Ben, you just did it. The three of you just bought yourself, baby. We are on tomorrow night.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's freaking out back here, folks. She really is. I thank you so
You
much.
guys are awesome.
Absolutely. You guys are amazing. Okay, so this gets
Oh
me
my
to.
goodness, Ben just gave us a super thanks too. Did
Yes,
you see
babe, I
that?
just acknowledged him.
Oh, awesome.
See, she's about 5 seconds behind me, folks. So, anyway, thank you, Ben. Thank you, James, aka Storm Cop. And thank you so much, Bill Hawkins. I appreciate it. All of you are either tribal elders or tribal chieftains. I appreciate the support, brothers. And I hope all three of you have seen my latest video. And we're going to be talking about this video tonight. Yeah, but you got to give me a few minutes to cover this Who thing. All right. So if I wasn't streaming tonight, the story on the Who would have been my next video. I can guarantee you that because I never actually made a proper video on this Who because I covered it so well in a previous stream. Now, for those of you who weren't here, I'll just give you a quick synopsis. If you want details, baby, go to my stream entitled The Who Debacle, and I believe it was dated April 20th, 2 days shy of a month ago. All right, we covered this. In that video or stream, I said, which is now a video for all intents and purposes, right? I expressed that I am a Who fan, always have been a Who fan, or at least was a Who fan once I heard Who's Next. Not that I didn't like the songs I heard on the radio. That's the album that got me, and then I converted and started getting back and listening. And I don't always agree on which of their albums are better than other albums. I tend to like. For I'll give you an example. I tend to like their second opera over Tommy. All right, it's just that was the concert I went to go see. Right, and the concert I saw them, you had Roger Daltrey on lead vocals, Pete Townsend on guitar, Keith Moon on drums, and John Entwistle on bass. That's the Who for me. All right. And I made that clear. Now, I know a lot of you don't agree that it's okay. Some of you even think, well, the two main guys was Roger and Pete, after all. And if they're touring, they can call themselves the Who, as far as I'm concerned, where I think that's not true because you had the greatest rhythm section in rock and another composer who is no longer composing for the Who. It's like the Beatles going on without George Harrison, right? And you had that in John Entwistle on bass. I just saw that. Let me see what we got here. And you had Keith Moon on drums. John Foster, another $5. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I couldn't sit this one out. Pocket empty. Oh, brother, we appreciate it. We do. Seriously, you guys rock. All right. So to me, that's the Who. But if you think this is the Who, then we'll call them the Who for all intents and purposes for tonight's stream from this point on. So the Who uh, did a series of shows in London way before they ever announced the This Song Is Over tour, which is now the current North American tour that they're propagating, that everybody's talking about. The Who are back, right? And at that set of shows, I had already said that I didn't think, I believe I even brought it up one time on Royce's, Royce in the house. Hi, brother. I saw you out there. We're going to be streaming and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite bands, Grand Funk freaking Railroad, right after this stream. Okay. I always set up my streams on Sunday to kind of blend into Royce's. All right. So tonight's stream where I'm doing this is filled with more controversy tonight. I don't mean it to be. It's just the lay of the land, folks. But then when I'm done over here and exhausted beyond all belief, I'm gonna kind of crawl over to Royce's house and show up there, and I'll be on the panel there talking about one of my favorite bands in rock and roll, bar none. I've done tons of videos on them. I love them. I love them. I love them. And of course, I'm talking about Grand Funk Railroad, not Grand Funk, but Grand Funk Railroad. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay. So anyway, despite the fact I thought it was a lackluster performance. All right. And indeed, it got to a point where there was a breakdown during one of their performances, and Roger Daltrey was very upset because he complained that the mix for the drums were in his earphones too loud, right? As if Zach Starkey had any control over what the mix was going into his headphones. And we talked about how that is. I'm not going to go through it. If you want the druthers, go on over to my other stream after this one, and I guarantee you, I go into detail on this. So, in no way was the mix in his headphones Zach Starkey's fault. Now, I also said Zach Starkey did have a flub, but a minor flub that no other band, including a plethora of bands I've been in, couldn't have made up on the spot with 90% of that audience not even recognizing it. It was a minor flub. But the big flub that made it that minor flub by Zach Starkey, that made it into a big flub, was by Roger Daltrey, who missed his cue on the voice, irregardless of what he heard. He stuttered, he stopped, and why was that such a big thing to him? Well, guess what? What song were they singing? They were singing The Song Is Over. Now, keep in mind, this is before the Whoever announced their North American tour. The Song Is Over. This was an important song. Ooh, this is going to be present. Ooh, yeah, The Song Is Over, right? And so it was a major flub. And Daltrey got upset with it, and I also append that it was Daltrey that fired his ass. Yeah, I also covered that Pete Townsend has been quoted as saying he does nothing about has nothing to do with regarding either hiring or firing band members that back him and Daltrey. That's all of Daltrey's deal and has been for years. Okay. And then we got this statement that Zach Starkey had been let go. Right. First rumors he had been fired. Then we got the official statement and that the split was amicable. Amicable. I swear to God, I know that word, folks. All right. And so there was a lot of buzz on the internet. You know, what's going on? I still didn't cover it. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it did when out came another statement by the band. Starkey's not gone. What are you talking about? Oh, no, 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 no. There's been a misunderstanding. Then it became a misunderstanding between band members. Then it became a statement of, no, we needed clarification between members of the band. And we've all had a group hug and everything's fine. And we're now on to the This Song Is Over tour. End of story, right? Not quite. I got this one off of UCR. All right. I cover UCR articles often on my channel, don't I? I like the way they're written. They're concise. You can get down to it. They don't take up too much screen time to cover. And this will give you the basic idea of what's happened just now, right? If you haven't heard. Zach Starkey is once again out of the Who, and drama
Oh, we
surrounding.
just got another one from Terry Batdorf.
Well,
Oh, so
let's take a look at that, and then I can get on to this thing.
thank you
Yeah,
so much.
let me check about.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
all right, Terry Batdorf,
Yeah.
$2, and Terry, that $2 is just as cherished as any of the ones that came before you. Thank you so much. You know, enough of those, and you'll have one of those larger donations, right? And you know what? Every penny counts. I still pick up a penny. I was just telling somebody that I still pick up a penny. I was at the store and they go, "Oh, me too." I don't know. I do it, you know. Just can't let a good penny down, right? Okay, so anyway, back to this article. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. Where they're talking about the Who here. So from the beginning, it says Zach Starkey is once again out of the Who, and drama surrounding the drummer's exit has hit a new high. On April 16th, the Who announced that Starkey had been dismissed following 29 years as a touring member. Just 3 days later, they reneged on that statement, claiming communication issues. Remember, I just said that were at fault, and that Starkey would continue with the group. So everybody kissed and made up, right? A new wrinkle arrived today as Pete Townsend shared a message to Instagram saying, "After many years of great work on drums from Zach, the time has come for a change. A poignant time. Zach has lots of new projects in hand, and I wish him the best. Scott DeVores, all right, remember the name, Scott DeVores, who has worked with Roger's solo band, will join The Who for our final shows. Please welcome him." All right. Now, let's see if there's anything else. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And then what is, I'm almost tempted to go over there. If this was a normal stream where I could just spend even the entire hour on this story, I would do that. So sorry for the hiccup there, folks. But here's what Zach Starkey has to say. "I was fired 2 weeks after reinstatement and asked to make a statement saying I had quit The Who to pursue my other musical endeavors." Starkey wrote, "This would be a lie. I love The Who and would never had quit. So I didn't make the statement. Quitting The Who would have also let down the countless amazing people who stood up for me. Thank you all, a million times over and more, through the weeks of mayhem, of me going in and out and in like a bleeding squeeze box." Ooh, good one. Zach. Oh, perfect word, right? Got them with their own words. Anyway, regardless of the exact circumstances surrounding the lineup change, it's clear that Zach Starkey is now out and divorce is in. All of this turmoil arrives in the shadow of the Who's recent announcement of a farewell tour scheduled to begin in August. All right. So now think about what was just said and who responded. I thought Pete Townsend didn't have anything to do with hiring or firing, uh, the talent. All right. And this is after 29 years of service. Now, because I don't recognize this lineup, that has nothing to do with it, folks. A lot of you recognize this lineup. And my God, they have a drummer that's been there longer than Keith Moon ever could dream of being in The Who. So even though it's not out and out pedigree, it's certainly, you would think, if they're touring as The Who, this guy's one of The Who or one of the new Who. And like the Eagles, it turns out that, well, and as we have always known, he's a hired gun. but he's a long term. It would be like Don Henley firing Joe Walsh right now. All right. Everybody would be surprised. What? He fired one of the Eagles? Well, Joe Walsh has never been officially an Eagle, right? And Zach Starkey has never officially been a member of the Who. But in the hearts and minds of many of you, he certainly have or has, right? And you know what? When I think of it, just along those lines alone, folks, as far as okay, this is the Who, right? I mean, if they were cheap enough, I'd go see them just to see Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend again. I wouldn't think that I saw the Who, and yeah, it would be a treat to see one of the Beatle kids on drums. He's also a good drummer too. Yeah, he's an excellent drummer. I don't think he's a Jason Bonham, but he's an excellent drummer, right? So what happened? If you remember, and I call it square on that I called this on my last stream a month ago. This is Pete Townsend. Did you notice how flowery the language was? He was sent out by by Roger Daltrey. And he wrote a song, only he put it as a response to the fans. Reread it. Or if you're watching the stream later, rewind to when I reread that statement. Okay. And you'll see, oh, it's well written. It's very well written, but it's not coming from a state of ownership or leadership at this point. Because guess who got hired? And remember what Pete Townsend said before, as far as hiring and firing, which includes Zach Starkey and Scott DeVore. Didn't I say a month ago that Roger Daltrey wanted Scott DeVore on? Wasn't that my clear statement? That's it was a power play from the beginning, and this back and get together kumbaya moment was to take the heat off of what Roger was getting as being part of the mistake that broke down. All right? Okay. So, anyway, I needed to cover that because I've been covering this story right along. This is one of my favorite bands in rock and roll. And even though it's not really the band that I recognize, again, many of you do, there's still two of my rock and roll heroes up there that I'd love to see. I won't pay Who prices, but I'd love to see them, you know. So it's not like I'm not a fan. And I have seen The Who, paid top dollar to see The Who at a very famous concert, I might add. It wasn't supposed to be a famous concert, but it wound up being one when Pete Townsend and Keith Moon got into a fist fight. I saw that. I'll get right to you, Shay. It's good to see you, by the way, Shay. Yeah, so good to see you. But they get into this fist fight, disagreement. I never saw a fist fly. All right. But reports were that there was actually hitting. There was a report that Keith Moon passed out twice. I only saw once. All right. But I wasn't in the greatest of shape that night either, folks. So I don't, maybe he did pass out once and maybe I passed out, yeah, and then he came back and I woke up. I don't know what the hell happened that night. Okay. But that was the Who for me. And I'd love to see these guys, but man, I'm having, just like Sammy Hagar treating Jason Bonham badly, I'm having less and less respect for Roger Daltrey every damn day these days. All right, let me get down to this super thanks. Let's see here. Shay, a member for 3 months, tribal elder. Love you too. Oh, okay, good. Member for, does that mean that you just well, I know you just signed up, Shay. All right, I know that you just re-signed up, and for whatever reason, the lapse and everything, I never took your name off, so you've never been taken off, which is fine because you get your rank back and everything else. So, cheers to you. All right, thank you so much. All right, so now we're going to get into the bulk, and we're almost halfway through this show. So I'm glad we're going to be able to carry this on tomorrow night. All right, because um, this one, this will be good. I'm going to use the remainder of this show to kind of do a setup, and I'm going to try and get to a few of your comments. All right, and then tomorrow night, boom. Um, this thing, the whole debacle here started off with me shooting a members only video for my tribal members. Right, Shay? Okay. And in that video, it was just me talking to.
Oh my goodness, you just got another super thanks, Terry Batdorf.
Again, Terry, you are on fire.
Sweet.
Thank you so much. I see that. No, nothing. Didn't say anything. Just
Nice.
just $20. Thank you so much, Terry. You are you've you've heard me say it before, a rock star. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Um, so anyway, in that video, it was me just chatting with channel members, really, and that's cool. I try to keep it more of a chat based video when I do for channel members, and I was just kind of supposing, what if I covered this, and I was showing them the story of Bruce Springsteen. Um, Making political statements at a European, nay, British uh, concert crowd regarding the current president, and I had this thumbnail designed, and I was just, I don't know if you'll ever see this, right? And then I went on to a kind of a little synopsis with Stevie Nicks, and then the video goes on for another 8, 9 minutes after that. So I took that little snippet and I shared it as a regular video on my channel, right? And during both versions of those videos, I admitted that, I'm almost reticent to cover this. So I decided to cover it tonight on the stream because every time I get reticent, folks, there's this part of me, this beast in me that says, no, no, don't you backpedal, brother. Right. Yeah.
Terry Batdorf asked, have you read Into the Void by Geezer Butler?
Read Into the Void?
Into the Void by Geezer Butler.
Oh, the book. His latest book, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I haven't, and I need to get that. I need to get that. I need that as a resource, Terry. You're absolutely right. Uh, I've been putting monies towards. See, a certain amount of this goes to getting resources. You wonder where your money goes to. Exactly that type of thing to do, and I can guarantee you, I'll be getting that. And when I review this, I'll see that. Another $2 thank you from Rockin' Robinberg. You're there so often for us, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Hey, tribe, you all rock, she says. God, you guys are on fire tonight. All right. So anyway, and I also said I run danger if I did do that video, or if I did do that stream, that I'll lose subscribers. And guess what? I put that little part out and I lost 30 subscribers within 24 hours. All right. We've made it up. All right. Because the channel continues to grow. But I lost 30 subscribers in 24 hours over that. Right. I gained 4 on that very video, and I value those 4 more than the 30 that decided to leave. And I'll tell you why. I hope they return, because all I was doing was admitting that if I did cover this, and that if I did cover this, it would only be regarding not the politics of the man. All right. I wouldn't cover my politics. I would just be covering any rock star. And if you see my thumbnail, Ted Nugent's on there, right? It's hard to find the right wing rock star that does this, but there are a few out there, and I'm as dead set against them as any left wing rock star using a paid venue to espouse their political beliefs. All right. And I just want to give you, there's several people I wanted to cover tonight, but let's go over this. This is a good base. How much are, first of all, we had Neil Young. Neil Young rewrote "Rockin' in the USA," right? And "We Want America Back" or something like that, wasn't it? I'm just doing it on memory. And he performed with Bernie Sanders at a rally, and I said, "Hey, that's fine. Nobody at that rally is going to disagree with the song, and if they do, they're probably a reporter that's forced to cover it, maybe, and they're maybe more right winged. But I would imagine that general crowd is a very Bernie Sanders friendly crowd and a very Neil Young friendly crowd as well, because Neil Young espouses his political belief, which every every single citizen of the United States should have that freedom. All right, now keep that in mind. All right, and there you go. Everybody's happy. No problem. All right. It doesn't matter whether I agree with Bernie Sanders' politics or whether I disagree. I can certainly agree Neil Young had a right to do exactly what he did under those conditions. Of course, it was a day and a half later that Bernie Sanders showed up at what is that festival? I can't even remember the name of the putrid thing, and turned it into a political uh, driven show by introducing the next person who is, and he espoused how she was a champion of alt left values and all of that. So there was a political drive. And at that concert, people paid. And there's the bugaboo right there. Now, I know the other half of this by many people. Now, before I get into this, I also wanted to talk about what was that rally all about? Do you remember? And that concert all about? It was attack on the oligarchs. And the oligarchs are, if you look at oligarchy, it's ruled by a few, usually, there's several definitions, but usually based on popularity and or fame and definitely riches. Okay. And a lot of the people we're going to be talking about during this stream and tomorrow's stream are all on board with Bernie Sanders and his crowd more than they're not on board, as they have demonstrated many times by what they expose or espouse about themselves during paid events. Okay. Once again. And by the way, does that mean politics don't belong on rock concerts? Not at all. They're artists. They're not political pundits. Bruce Springsteen is not. Will Rogers, he sits on the stage like he's Uncle Bob. Kind of sits there, props his feet. Yeah, my country. Well, that's a piece of shit. That whole thing. I mean, he used a whole lot more vernacular than that. All right. Now, if you believe that that's true, that all of his statements are true, you believe in that, you have a right to that. You absolutely have a right to believe in those policies. You're adults. You can make up your own damn mind what you believe, right? And if you don't believe in it, you have just as much right, in my viewpoint, to not believe in it. Now, here's where I think politics uh, should be at rock concerts. Okay, and we'll get to that right after I take a look at this.
Oh, honey,
I saw that.
Deuce is wild.
Yep.
Oh, you're so awesome, Deuce.
She says, "You're so awesome, Deuce."
You're so awesome. Thank you so much.
So, been listening, watching Humble Pie a lot lately. Steve Marriott was true wizardry. Be it with Peter Frampton or David Clemson, you are getting something special. Hail the tribe. Love you all. And Deuces Wild, thank you so much. Often in with a kind gift. And a very kind gift tonight,
So
indeed.
nice.
Thank you. All right, so it gets down to this.
Hun,
Yeah,
are
babe.
you gonna read Deuce's?
I just did, babe.
Oh, okay.
I just did. Like I said, she's a little bit behind
I'm
us
in the
tonight, folks.
comments. I'm not listening listening.
Yeah, she's watching the comments and trying to keep everything going.
I'm
Um,
listening to the comments.
yeah. Oh, and by the way, if who was it? God, it just slipped out. Oh boy, he's out of there. Oh, James, if you're out there, you may notice not Storm Cup, but you may notice that I made you a moderator. All right, but it'll show up in your next comment. It didn't show up there at the beginning. I just wanted to let you know. All
Yeah.
right, so everybody has a right to believe in what they want to believe in, and I feel that politics are fine because they're artists, and if they are expressing themselves as artists, because after all, that's what they're good at. That's why I'm a fan of them, including Roger Waters and everything he's written up to a degree in his even in his solo career. I think he's a genius. I love what he did with Pink Floyd, right? Right from the outset, I'm a fan of his. Uh, I don't like how he uses his rock concerts as a platform, and I feel like he's used them as induction centers because when people have questioned, we'd like to see Pink Floyd too, but we'd appreciate it if you wouldn't. And he goes, "You don't like what I got to say?" He's This is his word quote or his phrase: "Fuck off." Okay. So everybody's got a right to believe what they got to believe, Maynard. So plain and simple. Now, when I put this video out and I lost all those subscribers, you know what that is? That's the same thing as saying you can't question the hive mind. Because alls I did was suppose bringing out a I didn't say it was wrong, I didn't say it was right. See, those subscribers that went bye-bye, and I say buh and bye, and don't let the screen door hit you in the ass on the way out. All right, because this channel that I've set up, I'm serious as fuck, folks. This channel that I've set up is to be a communication between people who disagree on all areas of life, but we can keep it focused in rock, and we can even skirt politics only in the fact that how far do we want politics into our beloved art? And because a lot of you, uh, and what I'm going to do in part two is I've got a lot of screenshots with a lot of your responses on my poll, two-part poll going. Over 3,500 of you have already responded. Okay. And I've given you both left and right people, left wing, right wing rock stars who I have kind of viewed as big mouths at inappropriate times. All right. Bono wants to feed the children in Africa. That is fine. All right. But I don't want to hear it if I pay to go see you two. I really don't want to hear it. Now, if he wrote a song about feeding the children in Africa and it's on an album I love and everything, I want to hear it. Ah, politics. So I'm not banning politics. What is it that I'm banning? Well, I'm not banning anything. I'm making a suggestion, right? And that offends people. Some people. We don't need them around here, do we? I know I don't. So we have to be able to have a dialogue. That's what this whole channel is about. If you don't agree with me, I want to hear from you. I want you to be respectful. I try to be as respectful. I know I'm a little irreverent at times. It's my personality. All right. And I ain't getting rid of it. Been around with me a long time, folks, and it just kind of hangs on. And if that offends people, toodaloo, right? So, anyway, how much now? Remember, besides all of that, who are these people who are talking to us? They're artists who have an opinion and can express it in an artistic way. That I'll give them. And a lot of them have good points. See, I'd listen to Roger Waters' lyrics and come up with something slightly that Roger wouldn't have okayed. Nope, I'm sorry. You can't believe that song's about that. The hive mind demands it, that it must be about, and I'll keep my mouth shut. He's got several, right? Who are these folks? Well, let's take a look. Bono, he's worth $700 million. Bruce Springsteen, $1.2 billion. Ted Nugent's 5 million. 5 million's a lot, folks. 5 million keep you in fine order in life, right? But he's one of yeah, he's the junior in the crowd. 5 million. But if I met Ted Nugent and he started spouting off whatever he wants and everything, and I kindly asked him, "Hey, dude, I don't want to talk to you about politics," and he kept spouting it off. This guy would probably be, taking me around his thunderous ranch and his luxurious, way past me. Even at $5 million, he's living a life I don't understand. How many of you think you live a life even close to what Ted Nugent lives? And by the way, if you do, congratulations. Seriously, more power to you. I'm not against people having money. I believe in free enterprise. And if people have earned their way into life and they're rich for it, more power to you every single time. Neil Young, $200 million. Kid Rock, $150 million. Roger Waters, $310 million. He's a third of the way there to a billionaire. And guess what? He could have been there a lot sooner, except for Pink Floyd's been screwing up their catalog, and their bitching and moaning and everything has hurt their legacy. Although their latest release that I still haven't got, there's a story, probably for a members only video. But anyway, $310 million. John Morello, $40 million. Joan Baez, $20 million. She's worth 4 times more than Ted Nugent. Eddie Vedder, $100 million. And John Mellencamp, $500 million. $500 million. And Neil Young, what was he? He was 200 million, wasn't he? 200 million, and he still got stuff to sell. He hasn't sold everything. You know, he he could easily double what he's worth there, and he knows it. We all know it. Anybody who's followed what he's sold, what he's still got, and everything. And 200 million, good Lord. All right. And he's at a rally fighting what? The oligarchs. I did a video on what $200 million will get you. I believe 200 million puts you in the top 1%. You are a one percenter. 99% of the United States, citizens of the United States, don't make anywhere near what you make. 99% of us have no idea of these guys' lives,
Richard
right?
just gave Richard Mueller.
Oh, Richard, I just saw that too.
So
Thank you so
sweet.
much.
Thank you,
Richard signs in with a $5 super.
So
Thanks. And he
sweet.
says, brave of you to
Oh,
cover this subject. You know what, Richard, I hummed and hawed about it. I want my channel to be successful. Of course I do. I don't want to lose subscribers, right? But then what do I have to offer? I'm highly critical of only safe subjects. That's kind of cowardly. I'm not a coward. So I've got, against my better judgment, I've got to say what's on my mind. And that's tonight's setup is me supposing. I want everybody to have a day. This actually works out really well. Everybody's got a day to kind of listen to some of my reasonings here and think of your responses. I want to hear about them, especially tomorrow. We've got like 15 minutes left of this stream, and I won't be able to cover everything that I wanted to cover. And I knew it the second I decided to cover The Who. But The Who is a timely thing. And this is a timely thing as well, based on what Bruce has gone through, right? But so are, let me make sure I've got my next slides up here. So is the thing with the Who, and since I had already been covering it, I wanted to cover it there. All right, so let me get back to here. I wanted to cover a couple of things that, let's make sure I'm in the right spot here. Yeah, that's all that. Okay, and what was that? Oh yeah. Okay, so I did want to cover this. What's wrong with this attitude? There have been a number of musicians expressing their political views, but don't look for beep to ever be one of the vocals to vocalize his stance on politics, other than to say that he feels that politics and rock and roll don't mix in this world. Speaking in The Guardian, beep says, I don't like to mix politics and rock and roll. I don't look at Bono, Sting, and Bruce Springsteen as political. I look them I look at them as being humanitarian. I'll contribute to anything humanitarian, helping people who can't help themselves. Where bloop does does draw a line with musicians and politics is a specific call to action. Quote, when musicians are telling people who to vote for, I think that's an abuse of power, says the singer. You are telling your fans not to think for themselves, just to think like you. Rock and roll is about freedom, and that's not freedom. End quote. The shock rocker adds, I want my shows to take you as far away as possible from politics. It's supposed to be an escape from the world we're living in. And you know, the next president is going to be worse than Trump, right? And this was from the beginning of the Biden presidency. Who made that comment? Anybody? How about, I gave you a clue, Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that he's talking about because I don't want to hear Bono and his, pumping up his starving children in Africa when I know that there's corruption in his organization and that people aren't getting supplies over there. It's a great idea, Bono, but you got to carry it out. I'm all for humanitarian stuff, but it's got to pay off, right? And it doesn't. And it just becomes a hole that sucks cash down in it. People just throwing their money at it, right? And he gets a chance to come off as a great grand hero, right? And as far as he says that, Bruce Springsteen being, kind of one of the people, humanitarian and, they're not so political. Well, what about Bruce Springsteen in England, sitting down on the floor, just Uncle Bobbing it all over the place, telling England just how horrible a place America is, right? Is that humanitarian? Sorry, Alice. Maybe this was true back then. I don't know. I'd have to get the date of the article. But it had to be at the beginning, so only 4 years ago. Bruce was pissing me off a long time before 4 years ago. So I don't agree with him, but I have a lot of respect for Alice staying out of it. Let us make our own damn minds up, right? Now, here's the question, and I'm going to kind of probably do my little bit of a sign off here. I'm going to try and get to a couple of your comments here before I do, but I kind of wanted to wrap it up with this. Where are you in all of this? Because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people are coming across with your responses, and I'll get to them. Is, hey, look, everybody knows what these guys stand for, so you shouldn't be shocked If you're at a Roger Waters concert and he starts talking his stuff about, Israel and all of that, and starts floating his floating pigs with swastika signs and dresses up as a freaking Nazi. Okay, yeah, you shouldn't be surprised because that's kind of him. So why be surprised if he's going to spout a rhetoric at the concert? Shut up and listen, which is real close to what Roger Waters told people who said he shouldn't be doing all of that is fuck off, leave, right? Here's the problem with that with me. He We are at a point now that what you are saying when you say that is you people who don't agree with our God, Roger, have no right to listen to his music, have no right to be fans of Roger Waters because you don't buy the whole fucking enchilada. Really? Really? Is that so? I'll be a fan of whoever I fucking want, anytime I want. All right? And I have expectations. Since I've got good green bucks, right? Greenbacks, I should have said. I had it right the first time, didn't I? All right, I'm willing to lay my dollar down. All I'm asking, you can say it in your lyrics, sing the song, perform the piece.
Michael Boswell just gave you a super.
I saw that. Thanks,
Sweet.
Michael. Great. He says another reason I will listen to my hard copy music. I don't hear the bull crap, or I won't buy their music. See, and there is another response. I will actually still. I've got to get my Bruce Springsteen collection up. I'm a fan of Bruce's, not everything. And the stuff I'm a fan of, he's distanced himself from, right? Because the other side of the aisle embraced a lot of the ideologies of Born in the USA, and he says, "No, you didn't get it," and I don't like that. Oh, this album's much better, that type of thing. And I think it's a masterpiece. Back then, even then, he wasn't a layman. Even then, he wasn't a working man. This man is a billionaire and been working on being a billionaire longer than he was ever an everyman. That's just the plain simple truth of it. So, how in touch is he when he speaks for all of us? And is he speaking for all of us? Because if you look at the voting and everything that went out there, if you believe one side of the story, at least slightly over half of America don't agree with Bruce Springsteen, right? What do you, and I know that there are those of you who don't agree with him who are like me, who still like his music. When he was spot on, he was spot on, right? That yeah, it's like saying Phil Spector is a dirty, murdering bastard, so therefore he's no longer a great producer. Okay, so that's fine if that's your belief, right? That I don't believe a damn thing he has to say. I am a fan of dozens and dozens of rockers I have no agreement system with at all. Okay. Uh, and I would like to go to their concerts. You mean I can't come? Because I question the hive mind? I can't come? Why not? Do you hear those subscribers leaving right now? Okay, because the people who left under those circumstances, they don't want a dialogue. They don't want a dialogue, folks, and that's fine. There are plenty of channels that will accommodate their hive mind. I happen to believe in question authority. It's been etched into my soul since I can remember being alive. Huh? Really? Show me. right? And what's wrong with that? To question a lot of these rock gods that they're symbionts, they're they're worshipers, they're children. Worship, they're children. You know, a lot of them, who are they? They're the oligarchs. They're Frank and Bob who got together and got together a band, kind of got lucky in the 60s often, but other times or whatever, or they got covered on two magazines all at once. Oh, no questions there, Bruce, right? What was that? Time and Newsweek? Was that it, babe? Time and Newsweek that covered Springsteen?
Yes. Oh,
Right.
honey,
Daniel,
just the facts, man.
Daniel the man. He goes, what? I'm Dan the man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan.
That is so sweet.
Dan, I'm hoping you're going to be on the panel tonight. Dan always makes the panel over on Royce's so much more wonderful. All right, to me, you want to know why I'm over at Royce? It's not to be on stream, especially now that I'm doing my own stream. Why I have no need. I've never had any need to do a stream, first of all, and then I started thinking, but I could accomplish this and that, and it's a good way to interact with you guys right there. I'm going to get to you, Dan, here. He keeps floating up because you guys are making so many comments. But what the reason I'm over there is because these are friends of mine. Novus Nick, right? Chris Elliott. We've got Dawson, who is probably our newest acquisition on the panel. And man, has he grown as a panelist. He's fun. And it's good to have Chris and Nick, not Nick, Chris and Dawson on the panel because they're a bit younger than some of the grandpas up there that are a lot older than me. Actually, they're not. We're all about the same age. And we've got a first gen kind of view on rock discussing, and it's good to have some young, I'm all for new blood. I don't believe in bottlenecking, right? We've talked about bottlenecking and live concerts and how nobody can get, new bands can't get a break. Just the facts, man. Dan the man, love you, man. He says, we have the right not to listen to artists' political views as much as they have the right to express them. The paid the paid event is not really the place, in my opinion. And that's my point in a nutshell, Dan. You just hit it. See, there's a reason he's on the panel over there. Can't wait to talk to you tonight, Dan. But really, it really does get down to that. And the fact that there are those out there that seem to think it's okay that people who are also fans but have another political viewpoint and is willing to hear the artist's political views within the song, even, who's not giving an inch? Which side of that equation refuses to budge? I mean, the casual fan who doesn't agree with a damn thing that Roger Waters has to say, but would be willing to go hear him, knows what his lyrics are really all about. Because in interviews, he's reinvented what they were all. I mean, he's explained to us what they were all about originally, right? Isn't that what he's done? Explained to us what those lyrics were always about, trying to rewrite some history. I swear to goodness. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, I didn't get to you, but I promise I'm going to spend a lot of time tomorrow talking to you great folks. Kimberly, any real interesting things? Could you make some screenshots on those that you think I should cover tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right. Unfortunately, on Sunday nights, I don't even know. We've got we've at least hit 110. I didn't know I had that large of an audience tonight. I really didn't. I just was speaking from the heart. I never once looked. My notes are covering the amount. I have to actually move it over, right? And so I knew I was biting off more than I could chew for a Sunday night because I only go an hour and then I take a short break and wind up over on Royce's, which I'll do. Please join us. We're talking Grand Funk freaking Railroad. Who ain't gonna want to show up for that? Come on, the railroad, folks. All right, we're gonna have a grand old time over there. And I can't go into the whole thing, but you guys have more than paid your way to get another stream, and I won't be limited to just an hour. All right. But both of these were too timely for me not to stream about them. And yet at the same time, on a Sunday, I only have about an hour. Now I could go another 10 minutes, but there is really no point because I'm looking at my notes. If I go even a portion of what I've got covered here, then I that's another 35, 40-minute discussion. So we need to stop here. All right. I want to thank each and every one of you, all of you who gave us super thanks. Look for your shout outs in my coming next regular video. All right. I got all those people that I mentioned before. Did I? No, they're still due. So you'll be tallied in with those fine folks. I got to find a new way. I'm running out of time where those windows come up. Right. So I'm looking into that so that it doesn't eat. I don't want it to take over the videos, but at the same time, I am bound and determined to thank you folks for keeping this channel alive, for supporting this channel uh, 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 financially. Just one of those things will go in to purchasing Geezer Butler's book because I really do want to cover that. I cover Black Sabbath all the time. I've covered some quotes from it, by the way. All right, just to let you know. But I haven't sat down and bought it and actually read it. Shame on me. Okay. I've been busy. I've been busy, folks. All right. So thank you all so much for showing up. I hope to see you in about a half hour. I'm Michael Noland. This is the bottom line. And when I stream live, the bottom line becomes the tribal forum. It's my way of staying in touch with you. I'm sorry I couldn't get in to reading. I have several highlighted notes from you guys who left notes even last night when I first, set up the stream. Okay, so I will be able to cover some of your comments. You guys know who you are, both Kimberly and I know I can speak for her.
Yeah.
We love you lots and lots.
Love you guys.
Yeah, we do.
You
Really
take
seriously.
Care till tomorrow.
And I will see you tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, 5 p.m., right? Pacific Standard Time. I'm here on the West Coast once again, West Coast, California, United States. Adjust your own time zones accordingly. And I'll see you then tomorrow night, folks, or day after tomorrow, depending on what part of the world you're in. Okay. I'll see you in about a half hour. And thanks for showing up. Next stream there, everybody. Night.